Well, hello to Throwback Thursday. It's our very first one, and it is February 6th, 2025. Today is my mother's birthday. It would have been my mother's birthday had she lived. She would have been 91 years old today. Gosh, how time flies. So I recorded a whole message for you today, and it got blocked. Imagine that. The whole thing. I've never seen anything like it. It's so bizarre. So I'm starting over yet again. So here we go. Where do we begin? First question I usually get about my spiritual path. A lot of you know the book. I've written the book, Five Lessons of Life. It won third in the world, for spirituality and philosophy. So one of the first questions I usually get is, where did your spirituality begin? When did you first know that you had a gift of being clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient, all of those things, right? Every which way. And I guess it came as a memory. I was 2 weeks old and I could see demons. I remember being passed from family member to family member, and their faces were becoming demons, and but their faces would contort and their eyes, ugh, yeah, really, really off. And so I shared that with my mom years later, and she goes, "How do you remember that? You were 2 weeks old." And I said, "I remember it because it was so like vivid, It was the first time I had ever seen a demon, in this realm that I knew of anyways." And she goes, "Well, no one was really inebriated, honey. They weren't drunk. They were had a glass of wine, maybe two." And I realized that I was shown that again, and I was being shown about alcohol, the lessons of alcohol, spirit eater. It's an Arabic word, and it means spirit eater. So I muscle tested and realized, okay, so when someone is drinking alcohol, even one drop, I muscle test on it, even one drop, your body stays forward, your spirit steps back, and other entities can come in and take you for a joyride. And that's why, like, you think you're so funny, and you're a little out of it, right? And you get really sexual, like, "Hey, baby," because you're being taken over by a negative entity that is literally taking your body for a joyride. You see? So when I was 2 weeks old, I saw that in family members, and just one sip, that's all it took, and I saw those demons. So my life has been pretty much a fight against demons most of my life. So this whole series will talk about that. It'll talk about different memories, different experiences that I've had along the way, and I hope that you'll share your stories in the comments below as well. Today's lesson is about speaking your truth, because it's not easy coming out of the spiritual closet, as many of you know. It's very similar. I used to equate it to, a gay person coming out of the gay closet, especially in the 50s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, even 80s, 90s, right? You would lose your family members, you would lose, your job, you would be criticized, you would be ostracized from society. It was a very difficult time. And it is no different than coming out of the spiritual closet for many years. Now it's much better. This newest generation, they would be like, "What's the big deal?" But 90s, especially, I had shared with a close family member a lot about myself, about, my uh, different spiritual experiences. And it was used against me. I thought it was beautiful, but apparently the courts didn't. So the big thing is letting go of that fear and stepping into the authenticity of speaking your truth. Okay. My mom is a great example of that. I think it's so amazing. We're starting today on her birthday. I was thinking, what am I going to speak about? And then I look at the date. Go, oh my gosh, it's mom's birthday. Of course, that's what we're going to speak about. My mom didn't speak her truth for a long time, yet at the same time, she spoke her truth. She was actually, the military personnel, like if a husband and wife in the military, or she's civilian and he's military, it used to be, if they had a pension together, if they divorced and separated, the entire pension would go to the military person, and the spouse that was with them for 33 years and never had a job didn't get a dime from the pension. And my mom thought, that's not right. And she and three other ladies went to Ottawa and created a lawsuit, and they forced the Canadian government into splitting the military pensions with both partners. So that was my mother, Doreen Laurent. She was an amazing woman. And so she taught me a lot about that stuff. Apple doesn't fall far from the tree. You know, when I saw pedophilia, it was like, man, I am changing this law. So I learned it all from my mama. Anyways, my mom um, taught me a lot. Gosh. So she never said anything bad, ever. You know, where some people will say something bad about someone, like, oh, what a nut bar, or something like that. Never. My mother would never speak unkindly. In fact, she was working in a mental institution, which is kind of ironic, you know, and uh, and uh, all the staff would gossip. And she got so tired of listening to all of this negative energy, this negative crap, that she finally said, enough. I am going to sit at that other table. I can't take your gossip. It's full of hatred, it's full of anger. And if you want to join me, I'll be over there and we'll be talking about really great things, but not going to partake in the gossip. And she changed the hospital setting. All of the staff started to change, the whole environment changed. It became a really beautiful place. And so again, she taught not only me through this, but all of her friends and her family as well. So I'll give you a brief story about my mom. She was born in the Sioux Lookout Reservation, and she was put in a residential school when she was 3. Never spoke of the residential school. I grew up not knowing my history. I didn't even know I was Native until I was in my 40s. So my mom learned very quickly not to speak her truth. She learned very quickly to hide that she was Indian and Native Canadian. And so, you know, that had some consequences over the years. You know, I had a best friend that was Native. All my friends were Native growing up, and yet I didn't know I was Aboriginal. And so, um, my girlfriend's mother was getting a tax return of 10,000 Canadian, and my mom was working a couple of jobs, you know, in the psychiatric hospital, but she also was working um, as a telephone operator at Naden and the military base, and yeah, she had a lot of different things on the go, and she had a tax return that she had to pay of 8,000, and here my best girlfriend's mother was getting a tax return for 10,000, no job, but she was Native. And I had never seen my mother upset, ever. In all of my years, I think I was 8 or 12 years old, maybe. This would have been 1976, right? And oh, my mom was mad. And I thought that was a little over the top for her. I don't understand why she was like in the kitchen throwing stuff down, and never seen this behavior from her. And it turned out, you know, that she wasn't speaking her truth, and she wasn't getting the benefits of being Native, and she was hiding it because she was so scared of the judgment that she would get. So I didn't learn that until after her death, that I had that memory. I went, ha ha ha, that's why she was so upset. I get it now. Wow. She was frustrated with herself that she was keeping a lie, and that was her biggest no-no. You never, ever lie, ever. Yet she was living a lie to save her own life because, you know, nearly cost her her life when she was little. So conversely, she would also teach me, you speak your truth, girl. So when the pedophile entered our house, I spoke my truth, and I, you know, fought hard and changed those laws. So speak your truth. That's the moral for today, no matter the cost. If you've been holding back a lie, you know, if it's life threatening, then that's a different story, right? You have to get help. You have to get some safety. If you're holding back a lie that could endanger you or your family, then I would seek professional help with that one and make sure that you're safe first. But if you're holding back a lie because you have an unfounded fear, something that, mm, you know, not quite unsure about, scared to talk about, I encourage you to speak your truth. It is freeing, and so you never know where it's going to lead. I never thought that coming out of the spiritual closet, I would have a YouTube channel and do all the work that I've done. Never thought that, but here we are. So thanks for coming for this Throwback Thursday, speaking about my mom on her birthday. I'm sure that she's smiling from the heavens that she was honored on this day. She truly was an angel here on earth, as many of you are. So we all are, right? We just don't know it yet. Much love. Chat soon, everyone.